Hey guys, welcome to our today's video. We're doing a free cleaning to one of the elderly person in our village. Come with us as we do the cleaning. And with that, we didn't know what we were going to meet because our mom, this was our mom's plea to go and do a free cleaning to this woman. So we were barely aware of what you're going to meet in there. She insisted we needed to carry some brooms. I don't know why I even bought the Omos, the Vim. I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting, but let's go and explore. So when we first agreed to visit her, we thought it was a simple act of kindness, a free cleaning for an elderly woman in the village, something small, something manageable. We didn't expect what we walked into. Her home told a story before she even spoke. Not a story of laziness, not neglect, but of exhaustion. The kind of exhaustion that settles deep into your bones when life has been heavy for too long. Her bedroom, especially, carried the weight of years of things undone. Not because she didn't care, but because she simply couldn't keep up anymore. And standing there, it became painfully clear this wasn't just about cleaning. This was about the reality many women live in, especially in underdeveloped communities where survival comes before everything else. Because when you're choosing between feeding food and scrubbing a floor, the choice isn't really choice at all. Food wins every time. Cleanliness, something many people take for granted, becomes a luxury. Not because women don't value it, but because their energy is spent somewhere else. Walking long distance for water, working tirelessly to feed their families, carrying burden that rarely get acknowledged. And in many of these stories, is a pattern that's hard to ignore. Men disappear, not always physically, but in responsibility, in support, in presence. Some leave entirely, others stay, but the weight still falls on the woman, emotionally, financially, physically. And so she becomes everything at once: provider, caregiver, cleaner, emotional anchor, often with no one holding her up in return. Now imagine carrying all of that and then adding something more: a child who needs constant care, a disability that demands time, energy, patience, and resources. Resources that I'll already scarce. The world doesn't slow down for her. There's no system waiting to catch her when she falls. No safety net. Just more pressure. Just more pressure. And that kind of life, it doesn't make you tired. It breaks you quietly. Depression in this space doesn't always look like what people expect. It doesn't always look like staying in bed or crying all day. Sometimes it looks like continuing anyway, moving through the day on empty, doing what must be done because there is no other option. Sometimes it looks like that room we walked into, not because she didn't care, but because she had been carrying too much for too long with too little support. And as we cleaned piece by piece, we were just moving dust, or rearranging things, we were witnessing something deeper, the invisible struggle that Larry gets spoken about. We were reminded that behind every mess, there is often a story of sacrifice, a story of survival, a story of a woman doing the best she can in a world that hasn't made space for her to breathe. And maybe that is the hardest truth of all. The world can deeply unfair the world can be deeply unfair to women, not in loud, but obvious way all the time, but in quiet everyday expectation. In the way the labor is normalized, in the way the struggles are minimized, in the way we are expected to endure, to keep going, to figure out alone. But moments like this matter, not because we fixed everything. We didn't. We only cleaned up one loom, but because we saw her. We acknowledged her reality. And sometimes being seen is where change begins. Because if more people truly saw these stories, maybe we would stop calling it just a messy room and start calling it what it really is, a reflection of a life and a pleasure most people will never fully understand. And by the way, we had colored some new sheets. We forgot to show that part as we made the bed. So I'm sure this woman today slept well. So we gathered the trash, bags, and bags of it, and carried out. There was no formal disposal system, no easy way to take it away. So we did what people here have always done. We burned it. And as the fire slowly took over and the smoke curled in the sky, it felt symbolic, not just of clearing space, but of letting go of weight, of neglect of things that had quietly piled up over time. When we walked back in the bedroom, it didn't look the same. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't something out of a magazine, but it was lighter this time. You could breathe in it. You could see the floor, the bed, the small details that make a space feel human again. For the first time, it felt like a place someone could rest. And he stood there, taking it in, quite almost unsure. Because sometimes, when life has been heavy for so long, even a small change can feel overwhelming. We didn't say much. There wasn't a need for many words. Sawa. Haya, lazima mno.
like a sunrise glow. Touch so soft where the seasons flow. We met where the stars take their flight. Every moment with you feels just right. Whisper your name in the rush of the breeze. Love like an ocean rippling with ease. Heartbeats sink into this melody. You and I forever, wild and free.
We gathered together and said a final prayer. Not a long one, just a sincere one. For strength, for provision, for peace in her mind and in her home. For the kind of help that doesn't just come once but stays. And in that moment, it felt like we were leaving behind more than a clean law. We were leaving behind a reminder that he's not completely alone, even if the world has made her feel like that way. Then it was time to go. No grad exit. And by the way, she gifted us. We didn't say much. There wasn't a need for many words. We gathered together and said a final prayer. Not a long one, just a sincere one. For strength, for provision, for peace in her mind and in her home. For the kind of help that doesn't just come once but stays. And in that moment, it felt like we were leaving behind more than a green loom. We are leaving behind a reminder that she's not completely alone even if the world has made it feel that way. Then it was time to go. No grand exit, no big speeches, just a quiet departure, carrying out with us the weight of what we had seen, in the hope that somehow the small act might mean something more. Because sometimes change doesn't come all at once. Sometimes it starts like this, with a loom cleared, a fear that takes away what has been holding on for too long, a whispered prayer, and people choosing, even for a moment, to show up.